Valentin, you're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about today?
Hi, I want to talk about the existence of God, the reason why I believe God exists, and I want to learn more about atheism.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I'm up for that. So where do you want to start, Valentin?
I have a weekly argument with my friends who are atheists, and my last argument for them, which we did not discuss very much, but it sounds like that. In the quantum mechanics, I will put a little bit of physics here. I'm not an expert, but I know a little bit about it. In quantum physics, there is something called superposition. Mm-hmm. And in superposition, we, or the scientists believe that the place where the two molecules or the two things will be in the different places in the same time, it is a probability space, which is not in the reality. We cannot put our hand in it, but it exists. But it's existing because we know that the superposition is real. It's been proven by experiment.
So yes and no. I'm still wondering how you're getting to the God claim with this, because when you're talking about a superposition, you're talking about. Hold on.
Yes.
I can clarify here. That's okay. So when you're talking about a superposition, you're talking about the state of a thing, right? No one's arguing about whether or not the thing exists. And when you say that a state exists, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So if I were to use the state of something else, like wetness, and I were to say wetness exists, but you can't show me wetness, but we know it exists, therefore God exists, I think that is equally ridiculous, because I think that's not using words very well.
Yeah, but I'm not doing the argument for the state of the thing. I'm saying that where that state is happening in a probability space, which is not real. I mean, it is not a physical space, but I know it is real because the superposition exists. I'm not making a claim about the state of the molecule. I'm making a statement about the place where that state is happening, about that place. It is a probability space, which is not something real. I mean, we cannot put our hand in it. It's not the space around us. It is a theoretical space, which we know it is real. I mean, the scientists say it is real because the superposition actually exists.
Okay, so let's take this out of where it feels confusing and put it somewhere where it's not so confusing, right? V and I are in a room. This room exists. We can explore it.
Yes.
I think that we could probably, I would hope, eventually with better equipment, be able to explore more about those things, those phenomena. So let's just say we're talking about this room. V and I are in a room, the room exists, we exist. What the fuck does that have to do with a God? I don't see any connection.
I'm getting there, if I can. Well, if you let me say it, you'll see it, I hope.
Okay.
I'm saying the next thing, that the God is a cumul. It is the story of God, the Christian story. I'm an Orthodox Christian, so I come from a background with a pretty clear story, which I'm not 100% sure about it. I'm not sure about it. But God is not only a person in the sky who makes random decisions about our life. That is not my belief.
Okay,
God
good. We don't believe that either.
For me, it's a great. God is a hierarchy, which is a sum of many things, and those hierarchies affect us on a biological level.
Okay,
we have the hierarchy of the hunter, for example.
Okay, cool. Show me the hierarchy.
Or men.
Well, hold on, Valentin. Show me the hierarchy. Where is it? Can I go visit the hierarchy?
Can you show me the superposition?
Answer the question, and you'll see why I'm doing this. Show me the hierarchy. Where is it? Can I go see it in a museum?
But there is a lot of things you cannot see it, but you believe.
No,
because
because you're not using words well here. You're talking about descriptors and trying to treat them like nouns, like physical things, like things that exist. You're making an ontological claim about something that exists, and your evidence for it is pointing to things that are concepts. I agree that it exists as a concept, but when you say hunters exist, right? And I'm trying to be as charitable as I can here. There's a group that we can classify as hunters. I understand that, but the group itself is something that we're using to describe. It does not exist. It's a tool that we're using. And so to say that exists as a concept, let me bring this back around really quick. To say it exists as a concept, okay, I'll agree with you that God exists as a concept. You can describe it and we might be able to understand each other, right? It exists as a concept. Now, does it exist in real life, right? Does it have an impact biologically on us, like you're saying? I don't think a concept, an idea can do that because I don't think there's a mechanism. How does God affect your biology?
Well, God is a representation of everything that is good in the world.
Okay, that's stupid. Try again. How does God affect your biology?
Well, I want to become like the best version of myself.
Cool. That's not my question. I think that's a wonderful thing to want. How does God affect your biology?
Well, I evolved to become that thing. The human race evolved to become that thing.
Well, I'm glad that you understand evolution. How does God affect your biology?
By making me evolve in a different way.
You say God made you?
That way. Not that God made me, that the concept of God made things evolve differently.
Concepts don't make things. That's not how concepts work. They don't have power
that's not right,
like
because
that.
Hierarchies made people evolve different. When we see the best hunter, we want to become the best hunter. And then our body...
Okay, so you're God? Are you saying you're God?
Not, I don't know if my God, I don't think that people...
I'm sorry.
God. I don't think all Christians have the same God.
Okay, do you think that you are God?
No, I think I want to become like God.
I
think I want to be a better person. I think I want to become a more emphatic person.
Great.
Okay, so
become a more better person.
Yeah, you're not answering the question. You're just dodging.
Why do you need the concept of God in order to become a better person? Can people become better persons without this concept of God?
Tell my entire... Why do I need it? Not just I need it. It is in our biology. God is, in fact, a representation of the greatest hierarchy, of being the best.
No.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Here, Valentin. How about this?
My problem, but that's it.
Well, no, it is your problem. You called wanting to convince us.
Orthodoxy.
Hold on. You called us wanting to convince us. So you don't?
No.
Do you care about whether or not you're right or wrong?
Well,
do you care? Do you care about what's true?
That exists because Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, cool. So if you make the statement, God exists, it's in our biology, and I make the statement, no, it isn't. No, it is not in our biology. So how can we investigate which one of us is true? Which one of us is right? Because we can't both be right.
So hear me. I'm saying this thing. When the first human appeared, he was evolving, right?
Appeared?
From monkeys.
Oh God.
Yes, when the first
so
human
hold on,
appearance,
hold
he
on.
evolved from God.
So this is an aside, and I think that we're still not answering the question.
Yeah.
So here's a good way of doing it. Hey, Eric, I found God. God, if you study DNA, is actually a tiny particle and there's the God. Or hey, here's a set of observed phenomena that directly one-to-one match up with an extant definition of a God, and you were able to show that empirically. Cool, no problem.
I think that
you're not doing that. You're telling stories.
Stories with scientifically proven things.
Okay, tell me a scientifically proven thing tell me a scientifically proven thing that supports your God's claim that your God affects our biology.
Well, evolution.
Okay, what does God have to do with evolution?
The nature.
What does God have to do with evolution?
Is not. Well, we evolve to become more like a godlike person.
Okay, you don't know about evolution.
We evolve to become better.
No.
Well, I'm sorry, but I know things are too.
No, you don't.
Do we
see? Here's the thing.
Effective by.
Right. Here's the thing, Valentin.
Yes,
the tool set that you're using includes this tool that says, I know because I feel it deep down inside. That is not a good way to know things. It is a good way to fool yourself, and it is a good way to turn off your thinking, but that is not a good way to know things. How should I say that? Okay, Valentin, I know that I have $1 million in my bank account. Why? Because I just know it in my heart. I don't need to look at my bank account.
I'm very happy for you. I know the same thing about me, and we'll both be happy now. But
no, we'd be deluded exactly where you're at right now. No, we would be lying to ourselves, and I don't want you to do that.
If you're listening to my opinion, you're lying to yourself?
So
for my opinion?
No, if you're taking, I know it because it's true, because I feel it in my heart, and then you're taking that and going to the bank.
I never said
you got a problem.
I never said that. You're not listening to me. Let me speak for 2 minutes, and you'll see what I wanted to say.
I think you've said a lot here. Hold on.
We've been talking to you for a good 15 minutes now, and we're still kind of lost.
Yeah, what you gave us is a hierarchy exists, and that existence of the hierarchy is God presenting themselves, and that affects our biology.
It is somehow a proof for God. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, and
we disagree. Yeah. So how do we determine who's right?
Right. Do you know what a non sequitur is, Valentin?
I'm sorry, I doesn't heard you very well.
No worries. A non sequitur. It is a statement that does not logically follow from another. Right. So if I were to say, hey, Valentin, why are you soaking wet? And you were to say, Eric, it's because I just fell in a pool. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But if I were to say, hey, Valentin, why are you wet? And you said, the sky is blue, it makes no sense. They don't follow. So the evidence that you're providing does not follow. It is by definition a non sequitur. And we're trying to see maybe if there's a language barrier or something going on.
No, it's not a language barrier. I understand what you're saying. Maybe I'm not expressing myself very well. It may be that. But I called you 2 weeks ago, and the conversation went very quickly to the fact that do I have the proof for God exists? For the existence of God. And I do not have the proof. I'm not what's called an 100% Christian or that. I'm pretty sure that it is that exists.
Okay. All right. Why are you pretty sure that it exists? What convinced you to be pretty sure that this thing exists?
Because of the things I was just saying. We cannot evolve without our hierarchies. Because that's how are we built. I'm not a scientist. It's what I understand understand from the books I've read, but I'm not an expert on that. I'm just a math teacher. I understand from the 4th grade to the 12th grade mathematics. But from what I understood is that we could not evolve more without our stories. Does not mean that God exists. But our stories do not start only with, we could not evolve without our stories. The human race could not have been organized in groups more than 150 individuals if we do not have more than a metaphysic story to believe in.
Okay, so I see what's happening here. Okay, so what was happening here is an equivocation fallacy just on steroids. So you're talking about evolution in a biological sense and also evolution in a social sense. And you're talking about existing in an ontological sense and existing in a metaphysical sense. And so we're just going around and around. And I think that's where the confusion is, because we are thinking that you think that in order to biologically evolve into, whatever the next iteration is, we need an existent God. And you are saying that in order to evolve socially and reach social changes, we need stories. And that story is a story of God. Is that correct? Are we finally kind of on the same page here?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So the social aspect, I don't care. If you're talking about stories and the way our society grows and all of that, cool. This is a show about religion. We can talk about sociology when it's relevant. I don't see that as particularly relevant. So
I think sociology is relevant. I think I can agree with you that God as a concept exists, but that's not the question we have for other people. Yeah, the concept of God exists.
The concept of
and
God
the
exists.
concept of God influences society for better or worse, and we can argue about which one that is or both. But what we talk about when we ask for proof of God is an actual, entity that these people tend to believe in. So if that's not you, that's cool. But
I understand, but that if that is your purpose, then nobody will ever be able to provide that you will with that.
Which is why it's a silly idea, and we have a show about it.
So yes, but what we talked about last time, you say that everyone has to have the burden of proof for what he's saying. And what I cannot demonstrate that God exists, but you could not demonstrate that God does not exist.
So here's
it is not should be on you. Sorry, for a second.
I've thought about that since our last conversation, Valentin. I've thought about it since our last conversation, and I actually regret not saying something. And the thing is the idea of a God existing has not met its burden of proof. The idea of a world existing has. The idea of a flat earth and a round earth, the round earth has met its burden of proof. The flat earth concept has not.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Analogy. What is the point of that analogy? Because I cannot see it.
Sure. When you were talking about the burden of proof, you were shifting the goalposts away from needing to justify your God claim. Well, why? I can't do it, and neither can you. That's shifting away from needing to back up your statement.
I cannot prove that God exists.
Sure, you could.
Or I would be the king of the world. But you cannot prove that God doesn't exist, because that is your claim. You're not making that. You're not saying that my claim is.
That's not our claim, though.
No. So, Valentin, if you were to call and say, "Hey, Eric, I think God exists as a character in a book," I would say you're right.
Which is essentially what he did.
Yeah, and we'll agree that God exists as a character in a book. we're in agreement. So if I were to say anybody who calls in with a God claim, I automatically think they're wrong. That would be a very, very dumb decision on my part. No, we listen and we see what the claim is first, and then we explore it. And your claim didn't make any sense. So I think that you have the burden of proving it. Why should I believe you?
I think I'm pretty good. Well, you could. That's what I can say about what you're saying. Why should I?
No, that is not how real world works, man. If I were to say, hey, Valentin, I have $1 million in my bank account, and you said, hey, Eric, prove it. And I looked at you and said, well, Valentin, can you prove that I don't? Because if you can't, then what? It's a stupid response. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't lead the conversation anywhere. All it does is shut down conversation.
I realize. I'm agreeing with that. If we will think that way, we could not advance in any direction.
Exactly. So stop doing it.
But if I'm talking about 1 minute about an idea, and you cut me right half to it, if I talk about quantum mechanics with a purpose, and I need to speak about hierarchies, but you cut me after quantum mechanics.
Because I've read way too much Deepak Chopra. Valentin.
I'm sorry.
No,
Deepak Chopra, but okay. My views are, if I can describe it any better, I think that my views are pretty close to the views of Jordan Peterson. So that what his claim is very accurate to what I think. So that's the more precise way to say to think of what I'm saying. It's very, very close to the beliefs of Jordan Peterson.
So
Got it.
What you're saying is you want to be able to...
what you're saying is lobsters.
Yeah, duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge.
Fine about the lobsters.
Got it.
Okay.
So you're a contortionist. Okay. Valentin, thank you for calling. You had a question you wanted to know about atheists. I kind of want to get that out, answer that before we go on.
Yeah, sure. I want my friends tell me there are many kinds of atheism, and I didn't know that. And they say you could explain it better. So I want to hear your take about those many kinds of atheism.
Sure. There are not many kinds of atheism. There are many kinds of atheists. So the atheist claim, the way we describe it, is the rejection of the assertion that a God exists. Right. So if somebody says, this God exists, maybe it's the Christian God, right? The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, that biblical God. I can make the positive claim. I don't agree, or I could just reject that one and say it hasn't met its evidence. But I could believe a whole bunch of other weird stuff. There are lots of atheists who believe in non-skeptical, potentially dangerous things like alternative medicines that include, let's see, homeopathy, different chakra, crystal healing type things. Those people are atheists, but they're not like me.
Yeah. Atheism is essentially just a rejection of the proposition of theism. So it really doesn't say anything about the ontological existence of a God. It talks about the belief of the individual. So a theist believes that there is a God, and an atheist does not believe that there is a God. And you can be atheistic about multiple gods and theistic for yours. There are some people who try to be theistic for all the gods, and that gets confusing. So essentially, that's all that means. And then there are some people who take it a step further and say, I actually believe that there is no God, and maybe we need a different word for that. But essentially, atheism is just a rejection of the proposition of theism.
Thank you. You stated that much better. Yeah. And outside of that, we're as varied as any other group of people. We're just we're all over the board.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Take care.
Thanks, Valentin.
And specifically, we are skeptics. We are skeptics. We are
Yes.
humanists. We're lots of other things too, but in the application here, I think that's most relevant.